Good evening, cruise mates. Don't be alarmed if you can't see anything. I'm still setting things up. And don't be alarmed if I'm not moving at all either, because my Live 2D studio isn't connecting on my phone. But how is everybody doing tonight? It's your wonderful wind mage, your cruise ship captain, Chartreuse Proxy, ever at your service. Today, it looks like I'm going to be a PNG tonight. Possibly so, but we're gonna make it work as best as we can now, yeah? Hopefully everybody's doing well. Today we are recording podcast by Proxy number 24. This is We Are People Too, currently airing on August 27, 2021, and most notably, this is the first week after school. Cause oh my goodness gracious, dude, this has been like frustrating to get through the week, to say the least. But we're getting through things as best as we can now, yeah. Yeah, I'm just happy that you guys are here. Just want to say, Pyro, I saw you on the viewer list, and it just made me so happy to see you. Because we don't get to really talk too much anymore. Then again, we're all busy with our own lives and everything, yeah? Oh, like I say, as I go to eat part of my snow cone that I got. We're all just getting through life as best as we can right now, yeah? That's all that we can really ask for, and quite frankly, as everything comes around, once again, what are we doing? Our best. So hopefully you guys can at least enjoy the chill vibes tonight and everything that I bring. Now, it is going to be a bit more of a somber night, as I'm going to be talking a lot more about recent events. So, like I said, today is basically subtitled "It's About Time." Alright, the podcast is titled "It's alright, and not It's About Time." We're people too, because the main things I wanted to touch upon was especially with the growing trend that I've seen of, I wouldn't say disrespect, but disregard for like streamers, with like in association with rule breakers and a few other issues that I've been seeing very much so recently. Here, I'm gonna try to reset my VTube studio one more time. If it's not nice, then we'll go on with it. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to talk about especially, I've been seeing lots more problems with like rule breakers or people not, respecting streamers and such like that or so, which is becoming a bigger problem and everything in between. I want to talk about, the most recent things, like, it's probably bad too, and I'm probably gonna jinx myself on this as this goes on, but the recency when it comes to like hate raids, or just the outrage of like with Twitch right now. Like I know like, there's gonna be the September 1 streams. Well, I say September 1 streams, rather it's the September 1 boycott of streams. And then, especially so, I just wanted to talk about just drama. Not any specific drama, but just drama in a wider sense and scale, Because especially when it comes to, like... Ah, there we go! I think I got it working, everybody. Just had to reset my phone. Come on, VTube Studio. There we go! Hey guys, I'm back in the vid screen. But I just wanted to talk about it on a grander spectrum, because... especially with me being in school now, I feel like a good amount of things that need to be covered, especially when it comes to life, is just respecting people, understanding people, and hey, knowing that we're all going through stuff together. You don't need to make the internet a lot more miserable of a place as it is for some. Here, let me take a bite of my snow cone. Let's get on with this. I have not played Power Washing Sim in a hot minute. Tell me if the audio is a little mixed or anything like that in between, but... excuse me. Here, I prefer... Okay, I always have the nighttime mitts, and I want to use the morning mitts for the whole live lo-fi, but I feel like the nighttime would be a lot better than the daytime mitts for my topic choice tonight. So here, we'll go on with that. So, first topic that I wanted to really get onto tonight is especially streamer rules, viewer rules, and etiquette, because Although I've been on the outside looking in for whenever it comes to drama most of the time, it doesn't mean that I'm immune to not seeing it, either in my chat, well, rarely in my chat. My friends, you know, maybe you shouldn't speak when you have no corn in your mouth, Druzy. Especially like when it comes to seeing it for my friends, like when it comes to my friends, when it comes to like, you know, bigger VTubers online and such, or anything in between, especially so seeing them just dealing with people who don't respect their rules, or yeah, just try to be, just being all out of the way, going out of their way to either disrespect them or anything in between. It really, really sucks, and I'm gonna turn down the audio a little bit more as I do this here. Because, here, let me put this out here to begin with. I'm not trying to tackle any, like, I'm like, yeah, I could probably bring in a few examples or so, and actually, I might actually have a few good ones that I do want to touch on in just a little bit here. But especially so, like, when it comes to, like, there's a reason why whenever you're in a Twitch chat or channel for the first time, that there's that little pop-up that says, hey, here's the rules of this streamer. Here's what they want, here's what they prefer, what they like, etc, etc. Yeah, because there's a little... There's gonna be that little thing that tells you about... what's his face? It tells you about what their rules are when you enter their chat for the first time, and then usually they have their own rules panel itself as well, you know? And especially when it comes to, like, it just needs to be known and respected, because, quite frankly, although, like, my rules are just, I guess you could say, more stock standard, like, yeah, a lot of my rules are just more, just kind of like, hey, these are the basics of just, don't self-advertise, don't self-promote, keep things in chat related to the subject at hand, nothing, like, don't be racist, don't do, like, yeah, just, like, I have very much so, just kind of, like, I guess you could say basic rules when it comes to my stuff. It comes to a bigger fault, especially so when you get into, like, I'll say, you know, I'm not gonna dance around any of the topics tonight. I want to say this especially so very candidly to present my own view on this, because this is a topic that needs to be touched on very much so, without trying to handhold through it. People of color, people who represent, like, their sexuality proudly, for instance, or so anybody in, like, the LGBTQ spectrum and such like that. Or just any famous figure, quite frankly, or so. Yeah, you'll get trolls, yeah, you'll get haters and everything in between, but the fact is that, especially when it comes to, there's a lot of things that can come off a lot harsher, or a lot more insensitive, not just on the spectrum of hate, but also just on being a good viewer as well, because, yeah, there have been arguments and such that people have tried to use yourself to say, like, you know, like, if, like, we're coming by to your channel as, like, a viewer, so like, you should be privileged, that, like, we came by to grace your channel, or however some people say things or so. But quite frankly, it's, like, especially so, our content that we are putting out, very much so, is public, yes, but it's our content. It's our time, our money, our resources, everything that we're putting into to make what we want. And although, yes, you the viewers are getting the products, the fact is that at the end of the day, we, like, you are our consumers, but we want to have our consumers respect our wishes. You don't want rabbit-hungry, I was about to say, not, stands or anything like that or so, trying to put words in your mouth or disrespecting your property when you don't ask them to. Yeah, they may be fans of your work, but that doesn't mean that you have any room to speak on, like, what Cruzy would say, what, like, the Hololive Girls or Shoujo or Niji Sanji should say, just because you watch their content very much so. Or anything in between, you know? That's something that I feel like I've been seeing a lot of problems springing up with very recently. So, of lots of people really pulling their own assumptions when it comes to I'm a viewer, therefore I have just as much rights to speak on behalf for X or Y or so. And that's where I feel is a very big disconnect between like viewers of the streams, fans, watchers, anything however you want to identify yourself, especially so, of understanding the work that goes into the streams and how much it really means for when like not only when you get supporters but also when you have to deal with problems, because you may be one fan to somebody or so, but especially like when the argument comes to, you are still a figurehead of a community and you have to put up with all the good and bad of the community that you are fostering, whether you like it or not. Because, yeah, you put yourself on the internet to be seen, for your content, to be recognized, right, for your artwork, or anything in between like that. And naturally, as a result, you are going to be held accountable for what they may do, for better or for worse, or anything in between and such, you know? And especially when we get to the nitty gritty of these things here, yeah, you may say that you don't speak for your like for your fans or so, but it still needs to be addressed, especially if like they are making a fool of themselves in like your chat, or trying to once again like put words in your mouth, even though you yourself may have like never said anything, for instance, or so. Like I'll use like one good example of just always self-promotion. I am a huge advocate against self-promotion, at least to me, because... No, okay, I'm gonna get into very much so pet peeve territory here. I have been in many different Discords to where they're like, yeah, they're big, like, open social Discords to where, like, yeah, anybody can drop in with just an invite, it's public on the internet and such like that or so, and whatever. But the issue that I find is that, right, for many of them that I found myself interacting with and such or so, what really grinded my gears was the people who joined only to, like, post their socials or to promote themselves or so, or anything of that sort, you know? I have very strict rules against self-promotion in my own server, and by self-promotion I basically mean, like, there's like no self-promotion that I allow at all on my server. And in our public Gale Force server, like, we have it so that you have to, like, you can only self-promote if you get like a certain role, which is achieved by interacting and like leveling up to like level whatever from Me6 or whatever bot that we use on there and such. And although that this is a me thing, it is a huge problem when you go into like some Twitch circles or so, because especially, like, I wouldn't say this is self-promotion. Okay, like, I guess that this isn't necessarily the self-promotion definition that I'm talking about here, but especially when it gets to like people who are like, I know, I'll put Guppy as my leading example here of how I think I think it was Guppy. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody on this or here, but I know that, like, she's had, like, some people... No, I think it's, like, Guppy or Curious, that have had people, like, hey, like, DM them on Twitter and say, I'll pay you if, like, you can promote my stream with a tweet or two or something like that. And it's just kind of like... Yeah, okay, granted, yeah, it is being paid at the time as well, but also it's like, you're just using somebody to self-promote for you. Guppy's a real good friend. I mean, if you've ever tuned into any of the fish farm streams when we were still doing them, that you would have been able to see, and I think she still might be streaming Wizard 101 right now, but she is a really good friend of mine, and I can send a link to her in the Discord later if you'd like to see more of her content, Fat. She's really great, she's really funny. She loves playing, what's his face, Wizard 101. She's a big fan of, like, Danganronpa, etc, etc. There's so many good things about Guppy, but, going back to the point, especially so, of, like, Yeah, it was a okay. That's I guess you can say more of a fringe case when it comes to saying self promotion, but that's just like one of the more mild things that like Guppy gets, because I know especially so like a few times she's had people come in and just be like, hey, watch me. It's like they like yeah, it's like these words like hey there or hello in Twitch chat before you immediately see or like check me out at Twitch dot silver sniper wolf xx 27x, and it's like okay dude, like I know it's kind of like ridiculous to say, but it's like I know like it's always discouraging to me whenever I see like a new name in chat, and it makes me light up a little bit because it's like maybe somebody new I can befriend or so. I see like hey there or hello, how are you doing, and then the third message is just auto deleted by bot because it contained a link, and it's like oh boy, here we go. Yes, that's a friendship that was never ever gonna happen then. But I know it's a very big rule that comes to faults, and I am very, very strict on it because, at the very least, to me, like, I'm trying to cover myself the best that I can, and when it comes to people trying to, like, yeah, use you, some people want to be used by you, or whatever else that song is, but especially so when it comes with. No, yeah, I know that it's that person, lad, because I was okay, I wouldn't say gossiping, but I did kind of use them as a figurehead when I was talking to like some of my Guild Force members of like, dude, they literally like, because yeah, no, actually this is actually perfect because Flying was talking about why am I so strict on self promotions, and I talked about this exact topic of just like, I like this is maybe it's just a me thing, but I hate it when yeah people just join to not interact with the community, to not be a part of an active Discord or so, but just to self-promote themselves. And I brought up that instance of, okay, so I don't even remember the guy's name. I think it was like Milo or something. In Guppy's, like, it's like I work in her Discord, because I'd say I know a few of the denizens there. Don't know everybody, but I do support them, and I love them so. Yeah, there's just a guy who only ever posted art in, like, the art channel. And Guppy did, I talked to him and whatever, but it's really like, hey, dude, are you just only gonna post art ever and never, like, meaningfully interact with me or the other community members? And it just feels like it dilutes some of the experience you get with getting to have a community, because it's like, then they aren't even there for you. They're just there to self-promote. They aren't here for you as a streamer, it's just okay, well, I didn't know what's after the name, but I guess there you go. But especially so when it comes to, it's like, it dilutes the experience because you're not getting like the support from like your fans or such that like you'd wish. For instance, you just have somebody who's here to self-promote for themselves, and it really just rubs me the wrong way on that spectrum, especially so. I really just have a big disliking on it. And that's one rule that I'm always just looking to uphold for if I'm going to be managing anything. I'm just, hey, self-promotion, you better watch yourself on that. That's probably the reason why I want to try to get active again. Like, you guys want to be that worker that when they does some crap like that? I mean, well, here's the thing, too, is that at least, like, here's the thing, Pyro. I know your name around, and at the very least, like, let's say if you even didn't really talk and just, like, worked around in the streams, I'd still know you as a quantity at the very least from like maybe like the 1 or 2 times that you might have said like hello or hi in my streams or so. And especially when it comes to like you've done a lot more to interact. You've been in voice with me, we've talked about maybe like playing some games or whatever such like that or so. And although yeah, you are more accepted in my community, it's a lot better than just like being hi and then remember having to think out and deliberately say, yeah, I'm going to self-promote in their promotion channel. Like, because like, it's a conscious decision. You still have to remember that like these guys are making to self-promote in these channels. So, yeah, they can exist, but it's a difference between a known community member, like I use like Shadows, like promoting in Guppy's Discord, because it's like, dude, he's a mod and he's also been one of Guppy's longest friends for all time, versus I just joined the server, and I'm never going to interact with anybody in the server. This server is only for me to go to the self-promote channel and copy-paste my Twitch link and going live. No, yeah, really so, Pyro. Because, like, here's my simple calculus when it comes to self-promoters are just the very intro level, if you wanted to even put them that way, of just people using you for clout. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, they're just using you as a springboard of just saying, hey, there's a lot of people, like, following here. Anyway, check out my stuff right here. Yeah, it's happened to me or so, but especially so, like, when you get to be bigger name, like, when your name starts to become a lot bigger, like Guppies, or Curiouses, for instance, or so, you're gonna get a lot of problems with that, too, and it's just, like, It really just is a stickler problem, especially when it comes to, because it's a simple rule. If you want to self-promote, you can ask, but even then, it's a fine line between, once again, being an interactive community member and just being somebody who just joins saying hello. Where can I put my socials and my links? By the way, I'm gonna stream in the next 5 minutes. It's like, dude. Was that true? I want people to at least interact before I let them self-promote. That's how, at the very least, it should be. Like, once again, if you, like, if there's people that you can trust and such or so, yeah, I would gladly do so. And I think Floyd's got a better head on that situation, like, when it comes to Gale Force, of just making sure that they have to be, like, extra requisite level in the server to self-promote. Because then it's like, if they want to put the grind into interacting so that they can self-promote, they're going to be either a community member that, like, yeah, that actually gets along with us and such, and actually wants to, just playing games with us, and to where I can see them actually using the self-promote for good, rather than just, hey, I just joined 2 seconds ago. You want my socials? Here's my socials. Too bad. Maybe I'm just being a stickler in the mud for it here. It's like, but especially so, like, yeah, going back to what I was saying here, when it comes to the things that I really hate the most are self-promoters and the people that are ignorant or so. I'm going to put this out on a very big limb, especially but because of my own bad experiences with people like these, are just kids. And when I say kids, I mean like middle school, like the people who fall in that age bracket that's like, oh, I'm 12, 13, 14 years old. I really feel, okay, so like, my server was recently only, like, I didn't have an age rule, but I did have to bump it to at the very least minimum 16, because, I'm just gonna put it out here, like, especially so, although, yes, I'm an internet stream open to everybody, I know, like, when, for example, Shadow and I were playing Terraria, I was attracting a lot of people very young on the demographic, and I had to put the rules in onto my Discord server, and I might want to put that in on here too, on my Twitch. But it was a real big problem, because I'd have people coming in, being like, hey, how you doing, or so. By the way, I'm 14. I don't know what's with the kids nowadays I see online or so, of like having to mention their age as soon as they can, because that immediately is a red flag, and it's like, nope, I'm immediately already uncomfortable, dude. This is not daijobu desu ka? I was asking, is everything alright? Everything is not daijobu desu, but it's like, this is why we have rules against kids. And that sounds bad in hindsight, but you know what I mean when I say rules against kids. It's a bigger difference between understanding of, like, saying, okay, hey, my content may be, like, more adult on the spectrum or so, for instance, or so. Because, like, you may be, like, a not safe for work streamer, very much so, a lot more lewd, like Melody, Project Melody, for instance, or so. Well, hold on. That was just me taken by a snow cone. especially so for me. I'm not afraid to swear. I'm not afraid to get into like down and nitty gritty topics or so and everything like that or so. But I still do fear whenever kids come into my chats and such, because when it comes to them coming in, it puts a lot more responsibility on me as a streamer with them, because if I know that there's like a 12, 13-year-old watching, although I'm not like insanely lewd or insanely vulgar as some of my other peers or so, it makes me really, really uncomfortable knowing that I have kids who can very much so imprint off of me watching my stuff. Because, like, I don't think I want to be a role model in that sense or regard or anything at all. Because, well, I wouldn't say that I'm a bad role model, but I don't want them looking up to an anime girl as their as their favorite streamer or so, and I don't want my demographic to be skewed that way. Granted, this is just me or so, and maybe like some other people don't mind them as much, but at least for me, I've had this problem to where, okay, so I'm just gonna be candid with this here. I had one kid that said he was like not 16. Okay, what I was trying to say is that my limit is 16 now, but he said that he was like 14, and I was like, okay, dude. First and foremost, he was in like my server as well, along with my Twitch chats or so, and I did make the decision of like when I bumping up the age limit to 16 at the very least, and I told him, like, hey dude, if you don't mind, I am really not comfortable with you in here. When you grow up to meet like my age limits and whatever, I'd be fine, but until then, you are a minor, and I don't want that responsibility on my head, just because there's a lot of crap that can go on with that. It's just... But here's the problem with it. I say this as I take a snow cone bite. Give me 1 second. I've been chomping on snow cones I've been buying from some local places nearby my campus or my home. And it's so good, but at the same time, I'm like buying one every other day, and I honestly shouldn't be. But too bad that, what's its face? Too bad that, it is still very much so 90 degrees. By the way, Haas, thanks for joining the cruise ship tonight, but here, let me get back to my topic on hand. So, like, at the very least, like, when I told the kid, so I included him in, like, a group chat with some mods saying, like, hey, dude, you said it's yourself that you're 14, and quite frankly, I'm not comfortable with that. I updated my age requirements and whatever for viewing. You'd be more than happy to come back once you are 16, but until then, I'm uncomfortable because you are still very much so a minor. And granted, he said, like, oh, I understand, I'll come back another time. I was like, I guess my juice is, not as strict at the moment. He keeps DMing me every other week or so. And I'm like, I basically just ghosted him. I should block him, quite frankly, so I don't have to deal with it. Yeah, I just ghosted him because, like, I am not comfortable responding to a 13-year-old in my DMs or so. That is not right. Like, even just saying that out of context, it's not right. And yeah, although, like, he never caused any problems necessarily so, the fact is, like, I don't want that in my chat at all, because that is just, like, that's just warning fires and signals going off in my head immediately right there, dude. That is nothing but trouble if it ever comes to, and I don't want, that's like, yeah, it's just responsibility on my head that I didn't ask for, and that, quite frankly, makes me very uncomfortable to have to deal with. Yeah, the kid may have done nothing wrong, but the fact is that I do not want to be the age bracket for him. He should be watching, like, cartoons or playing Fortnite instead, not watching Anime Girl online. Maybe I'm his first way into anime, but it's my rules, and hopefully he does respect it more, because although I haven't seen his name tune into the streams, or he's gladly stayed out of my Discord server, like I said, like, I haven't received one since, like, last month, but, like, after, like, we told him, like, hey, dude, you can't be in the server anymore until you're 16, because it makes me uncomfortable, he's he DM'd me like the day after. I remember. It's like, how you doing, Cruzy? And I'm like, hey, can you just not? It's like, just, dude, I told you I'm already uncomfortable with you in my server. What makes you think I'm comfortable with you in my DMs? Yeah, I should just put the boot down on that subject and just block him too. Well, it's like, he's a kid, he probably doesn't know better, but also, that is just immediate pressure on my head, because I don't want any, like, with how the internet is being the internet, you know? With all brewing grounds of drama or so, it's not like I'm trying to wipe my hands clean. I'm just trying to keep them clean in the first place, because that is a very slippery slope that can very much so go very, very haywire. Because once again, like, just the term of, like, yeah, I'm interacting with, like, 13, 14-year-olds, minors on the internet, it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to stop you right there, because context-wise, you're gonna need to say a lot more before you convince me of what you're even trying to do here, you know? Stop my supposed to put the fuse situation. Like, yeah, I'm trying to nip it. I'm trying to nip it in the bud before it grows to a bigger problem. Because, like, what? It's my community that I want to build, and of course, although I can't choose many of my community members, I have put my boot down on like 2 or 3 people who have either caused problems and such before, or that really make me uncomfortable. Basically, kids, or yeah, just problem makers who really aren't good for community just because of, yeah, dude, like problems as in real bad ones. But anyway, I don't want to get too far into my point of that here, because that's an aside. The main thing that I did want to say about this, especially so when it comes to, is just like respect your streamer, especially so too, because the reason why I chose these topics tonight to talk about was from like the recent hate raids that have been going on Twitch, which I will get onto later if people aren't indoctrinated to what those are about, to different things such as just like, hey, I've seen this problem here pop up now and again, and it's just respect your streamers, respect the space, and remember there are people too. Like, oh man, let me tell you one thing that made me really, really uncomfortable that I saw on my feed the other day. I mean, okay, no, the guy who posted the images in general, that's just a straight up troll. It's different from a straight up troll just posting not safe for work perks in general, which I tightened up the security a lot more to be the highest level in my server now, versus somebody who is just like, yeah, they may see the rules or so, but continue to disregard them and try to keep interacting, like that 13-year-old kid I was talking about earlier. But here, what I was going to get on about, especially so, was like ask your streamers for permission if you're going to do anything stupid, like if you want to self-promote, or if you want, like if you're gonna do something with them. So I'll say this for one good example. I know that most people, including me, are very happy with fan art. I'm not gonna say no to people who want to draw fan art of me and whatever, but there is points for what is fan art, what isn't, and what is inherently very much so dangerous. As in how far you take your liberties and your liking for somebody or so, like a VTuber. Girl DM just had her 1-year streaming anniversary, I believe. If you don't know who Girl DM is, she is a wonderful, wonderful VTuber, Twitch streamer, etc., etc., or so. And have a good time now, lad. Have a good time wherever you are. If you're going to work, if you're going to sleep, enjoy yourself now. Remember, you can always check the VOD later, and I'm trying to get a better habit of putting them to YouTube too, you know? But, because she had her 1-year anniversary, and she was okay, just work? Well, enjoy your work, hopefully. Hopefully it goes well for you. I joked about being annoyed, so we haven't streamed yet. I know you, and you're okay with it. Yeah, it's all about knowing the boundaries, because I want to put this out here as like the biggest rancid example of Girl DM is, yeah, a very famous streamer because he's pretty big in the VTube community and such. Like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I did see her playing Pico Pico Park earlier today with like a few others. Or maybe I was Kane and Nate. It was like a bunch of VTubers were playing Peter Park today that I saw on Twitch. But anyway, yeah, she had her 1-year anniversary, and she was tweeting about a lot of things, like fan art and such that came to it. But then she also had one tweet that's like was very, very much so a change in pace and tone, because the issue was there was a account, like, okay, I'm just going to try to explain it simply. Her Twitter, like, Girl DM's Twitter handle is like girl under slash DM or whatever. There was an impersonation account called Girl DM, like same thing, but instead of an L, it was a uppercase I, and it was basically a not safe for work roleplay account as Girl DM, from what I saw. And it's like, that is straight up invasion of privacy, first and foremost, of like using somebody else's likeness, especially for something like not safe for work stuff. And also, you just don't do that. Yeah, I may like, I don't know, like Adam Driver or like Keanu Reeves or so. And yeah, I get right, there is going to be like stan culture of like making like fan accounts or like tweeting stuff or like making your own hashtags. But oh yeah, like even making like your roleplay accounts of like fictional characters. But the difference is like it's a fictional character, for instance, versus it's somebody IRL, or rather in our case online, and you made a not safe for work roleplay account as them. And I feel like this is just a rule that just needs to be said. But like, don't put words in our mouth. Don't use our likenesses. As I already said this earlier, yeah, like don't hopefully like fan bases don't represent people based on, or rather like hopefully like the fan base that you have isn't one that's just gonna put words in your mouth and try to represent you with things that you never said based on like what they believe that they want you to say or so. But it's like, I see a lot of stuff with the Hololive girls. I didn't dig too much farther in that because I was still like looking at a lot of Girl DM stuff because I love watching her stuff. But then there's like that one tweet that stuck out about how it was like, yeah, impersonation, and it's got not safe for work pictures, not of, or at least like of just like random stuff or whatever. And it's like, this ain't it, Chief. And I don't want to give it past the Hololive too, but granted, it's like that have to be something that they tackle as a company themselves. But like for like Girl DM, who is very much so an independent Twitch streamer or so, or like if you like compared it to like if I like got bigger and then somebody made a account to roleplay as me, no, that is not necessarily the best or so. Like not only well there's also the fact of like that roleplay account stole her name, basically, you know, like did the old barcode trick, like has an uppercase I instead of just a lowercase L, that way you can't exactly tell the two tabs apart. It's like, oh jeez, dude. Granted, I'm bringing this out as a very fringe case, but especially so when it comes to that point, like, oh, jeez, dude. Remember that, like, there's somebody else on the other end of every single account? Or so, and although, yeah, like, once again, if I'm gonna use, like, this, like, that whole thing of, like, saying, oh, they're fictional, you're not gonna be offending, like, yeah, fictional video game character, so. Even though, like, yeah, we're anime girls online, or guys, or however you want to identify. I'm just saying girls because, like, I guess, like, that is, like, the bigger demographic. The fact of the matter is that there is a lot of weirdos and such, and you have to remember that VTubing is another way of content creating and live streaming in the greater sense and scope of things. And we are all still human beings We all have our own well wishes on how we want to be treated and how we want to be perceived in the background and all of this stuff here. Quite frankly, if it was like me, I am not comfortable with like a roleplay account that is of me, that is talking about like, hey, not safe for word stuff and everything in between. It's kind of like, you know? That is a whole nother problem and a whole nother basket. And you're like, yeah, like, okay, like, she said to take it down for impersonation, but also, like, that can be very much so damaging for, like, the people who don't get the right account. Like, yeah, roleplay accounts can be a thing or so, but never distrust the internet to see one thing and completely misunderstand the situation or so. I'm not trying to be scoring the mud about this, especially so, but I'm just putting it out there that when it comes to the internet, people are darn stupid all the time or so. And at least like for that like girl DM account, it's like, yeah, dude, they literally just copied their account. They didn't have like ERP, RP, whatever, or like something to distinctly showcase that they are not the real creator or so. Or even like respecting their wishes of like, hey, are they even like I am a very much so more say so than I am not safe for work. If somebody made a not safe for work like if somebody made a not safe for work roleplay account of me, I'd be just immediately, hey, I'm shutting this down. Don't do this of my content or my character especially so. Okay. Yeah, dude, it's just really, it's really, really bad when it comes to understanding that situation, especially such. So I'll use another example. There's a guy who copied, like, what the head power was? Who copied Ina's picture, like Ina from Hololive. He copied her picture. He copied her, he did the law tweet and pinned it to be the pinned profile picture, and he basically like changed his tag or whatever, so to kind of like reflect it. I think it's like a VTuber thighs or something like that or something. But he basically, at the very least, he made a harmless tweet about like, don't worry about numbers and keep growing or so. But the fact is that especially at the end of the day, he still is impersonating somebody with. And although, like, yeah, he said, like, this was a social experiment or so, like, I'm not necessarily buying it because, at the very least, there was no damage done. But that's the exact problem. There was no damage done this time. Imagine if somebody else with a little less heart and a little bit more malintent decided to do that instead. Sorry, I'm just having some of my slushy again. Well, it was a snow cone, but now it's basically turning into a slushy now. But wait, that can be very much so career ruining. I'll use one person that's trying to come on the scene again. I know like there's gonna be the huge boycott of Twitch streaming to try to get people, like to try to get like the effect of like the hate bots and whatever recognized more on September 1, but I also saw like more controversy. 1, on the person, and 2, on the date that they're coming back to stream again, which is Call Me Carson. I don't watch Carson at all, I never did, so I don't have too much of an opinion on the guy, his content, or what he does. But the fact is, all that I know him about was that like he had he was like 19 and like he sexted some 17-year-olds or something like that or so. And he took a like hiatus for like almost like a year or so, and now he's apparently like having a big comeback stream on September 1st. It doesn't matter what if I watch him now and maybe enjoy his content or don't, because my point here, especially when it comes to, is, hey, what's my opinion on Call Me Carson? Call Me Carson? Oh, you mean the guy who like sexted some 17-year-olds or so? Like, that perception is especially so there. And imagine if like the guy who made that Ina tweet, instead of instead of just like saying something very positive, like, don't worry about your numbers, just keep growing and whatever, like how like Ina might say or so, What if he said something like very overtly racist? And people didn't look hard enough between the lines, and this is the internet, you know people wouldn't look hard enough between the lines to recognize that it was just a fake account, and not actually Ina. That is a lot more of a problem then, and hopefully you can see my train of logic with where I'm going with this, especially so about how, this is not right at all, and this can cause a lot more problems and heartache for the people who are unfortunately caught up in this, the content creators, just because people took it that one step too far. Not only are we getting punished for it, like, us viewers, because we're having to see, like, our content creator, like, shuffle through the shit of it, but also the fact is like, yeah, anybody could just possibly ruin that content creator by doing something like that, impersonating their account, and, like, doing something bad or so. Or, yeah, it's putting something in their mouth, putting words in their mouth that they never actually said or so, you know? And that is very much so, very, very, very dangerous. Hold on, it's not counting time. It doesn't get talked about enough, but especially when you get to it, the integrity of being able to trust your viewers into respecting your wishes. No, I'm missing one timber frame. Oh gods. The integrity of your viewers. I thought I got all of them. No. Of hoping that the integrity of hoping that your fan base and your viewers, are good ones, are G's that will support you and make sure that, hey, if there's anything that goes wrong or so, you are well supported, you won't have any problems or so, and that they're there to cover you, whether it be your mods, or your regulars, or even first time popping in. I'm hoping, it's sad to say that, yeah, you'll be scared of any possible thing that might come along. Hate, misinformation, or anything like that, slander, whatever stuff like that or so. I know a few of my friends who have said themselves that they're afraid of streaming again up until, what's-his-face? Up until, the hate raids are over or so. And I don't fault them in the slightest, just because of, how things have developed, especially so when it comes to, these bots coming around, spreading their hate, and whatever such like that or so. And, bringing a lot more pain and suffering to what's been going on over here right now. You gotta be kidding me. I'm never gonna find this thing, am I? What? I hate it. I wish that you could find, a compass for when you have, one more frame that you can't find, These frames are seriously stupid. Right, everything? I mean, I might as well just keep, the big sprinkler on, yeah? I'm just smashing tab as I'm going around, seeing if I can find, that orange lit up spot that I missed. But, yeah, once again, when it comes back to this here, especially so, it is a bigger exercise in not only hoping that your audience understands, but trying to, make them, help them practice what they preach, and especially so of what they do and how they act. Because I'll use, one good example of Lumi Chew, for instance. Great cat-made Lumi. Especially so, anytime I visit her chat, it is one of the most wholesome experiences you can get. Everybody's so nice, so docile, so amazing. I say docile in a good way, of just they are some of the friendliest people, there we go, there's the wood frame, that you can ever meet. And if they ever came by to, a raid or so, to raid me, or raid anybody else, so yeah, anybody that I always sit through, for whoever Lumi raids, they're the most well-behaved, nicest people. I remember it's as soon as I popped in and Lumi was this is one of my oldest friends, I got a gift sub in less than 5 seconds, and the people were just kind of yeah, join us. You're one of our family and whatever, of course. You know, we're here for each other. And it's like, oh, really? Really? That fast? It can't be that easy. It's that easy. Especially with Lumi's content and how she, not only how she conducts herself, but how she, like, helps to condition everybody of, like, understanding, like, hey, we're here to chill. This is, yeah, chill cat raid, everything in between, and we're just here to have a good time, especially so. She really puts forwards that good, positive mental attitude, especially so when it comes to making sure that her viewers respect anybody who may come along, anybody who may be, like, joining for the first time or so, and everything in between of that sort or so. And it's so darn nice to see, quite frankly. But especially, like, when it comes to, like, having your own community and such, it's a very big point of contention when it comes to of trying to make sure that they understand what etiquette you want to set forth. So every streamer is different. I know, like, at least for me, I'm very much so more mild-mannered on what I do, on what I try to preach, and everything in between. Whereas, like, maybe, like, with Guppy or so, or, like, a few of my other friends, it'll literally be like, hey, what's up, fucker? And it's like, oh, yeah, that's just, like, one of my boys coming in, like, if, like, you're raiding somebody. Like, I can understand that very much so, too. But when it comes to that, it's all, like, one, in cultivating your own community, it is a very much so more collected argument on, hey, if you're gonna be here, like, you know, you're just in my house, you'd want your own rules to be respected and such, yeah? And when you go by and drop by in somebody else's chat, you're going to want to try to respect their wishes to the best of their ability, since you are there for them as their guest in their stream or so. It still is very much so an important point when you get to on that of just like, hey, once again, we're all putting ourselves out there, and we're all people that all have our different needs and how we prefer to function and everything in between. And because of that, with us interacting with internet strangers, which, there's no doubt on this, we are gamers, dude. There can be some of the most toxic people I can say on the planet, easily so. It's a lot more of a bigger, it's a lot more of a bigger problem than when you get to trying to look at, okay, why are people acting this way or so? Or like, why are people this mean in my community? It's all about making that, like, good breed of just, hey, who is, like, how can I better my community? How can I make X or Y better? Is that? Yeah, that's what I missed. Games have a lot of wholesome people, but a lot of super toxic. It's because since you're online, especially so, here's what I'll say. It's the negativity bias. The fact that, like, of course, we are going to... the penny farthing. Oh my goodness gracious, dude. Especially so, like, and this goes by for, like, IRL interactions as well, too. But when it comes to, it is very much so a different... it is very much so a different basket. But it still rings true, especially so, when you look and say, hey, look, dude, like, you can remember good experiences, you can remember bad experiences. You'll remember, like, of course, like, the more positive stuff more than the more negative things. It can go both ways. So, like, you'll remember the more negative over the more positive and such like that or so. But the biggest thing that it comes to, especially, is that you won't remember, like, I guess, like, some of the more lukewarm stuff that you had, right? The more carbon neutral experiences that you might have ever had or so. you remember the things that really stuck out, like left an impact on you, whether it be good or bad or so, you know? And when it comes to online with how many people you can interact with in a single game, so yeah, dude, it really starts to shine its lights on like multiplayer, like competitive games or so, and such like that. Or when it comes to, yeah, just like online chat rooms, for instance, and just how mean people can be, how unapologetic, racist, abusive, toxic, anything that you want to say about people are online, you know? The biggest problem with it is you'll always see the big negativity, and even on Twitch right now, what's the main topic going around? The hate raids. Not only should it be just quite frankly against TOS for those things to really be around or anything of that sort or so, but also, the fact is that, hey, look, dude, like, nobody feels safe in this environment, and there's no rules that can stop this, because they're just blatantly disregarding it, unless you're doing something like trying to prematurely ban the bots, which thank goodness that there's like Commander Root and whatever for, you know? But it's still, the fact that like it is a figurehead problem is still here, and it's not even like a one and done thing. We are still dealing with it, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping anytime soon now. It's a real big problem. You know what? It's just, at the end of the day, the best thing that we can try to ask for as streamers is that we're trying to make the best experience for you. We're trying to, like, whatever our brand may be, content may be, or anything else of that sort, we're making what we want to, and we're just hoping that, like, hey, we are hoping that you, as one of our maybe 500,000 viewers, how big or how small we are, that you guys do get to enjoy what we put out, especially so. But when it comes to like streaming and such, not everybody is going to enjoy what we do. I know, like, at least like for me, I get a lot more people on like some of my podcast streams more than my other like long-standing series or so. And by a lot more people, I mean like I usually go from like 5 people to maybe like 6 people, because I have like my friends and my mods, and then maybe like a stranger that pops in. They may not like your game choice, they may not like your personality or your design, or like whatever tries to make you help stick out and everything of that sort. You know what? That's honestly fine. But you can do all of that and also just respect the person that you are interacting with. Respect the streamer, even though you may not vibe with them. And such like that, you know? It's a good difference between understanding that, like, hey, the streamer may not be for me, but maybe it's like for other people, and I can see that why. And being a complete ass about it, especially so. Because when it comes to, yeah, talking to people on the internet, some people are unapologetically assholes. And I am going to stand by that to my dying breath. Very much so, because I am not lying when I say any of that too. But that's just how the wind blows. That's how the news goes. And quite frankly, once again, all that we're doing is our gosh darn best from day to day. If people don't like what we're doing, well, that's more on them, especially so. There we go. But I just want to be able to be comfortable in the community that I build in the groups that I interact in, and hopefully I can continue to, once again, foster a community I enjoy, that I can be safe in, and everything of that sort or so, you know? Because especially when you put it to, it is a very much so bigger problem when you can't, when you can't find yourself a safe haven even in like your own chat or whatever, such like that or so, you know? Hopefully I'm making sense with that point here. but it's just it's a very weird time right now. I'm just kind of like tripping up a little bit because I'm just like thinking on like my own worries for like the hate grades and such. And it's, I know it's affected a few of my closer friends very much so closely, with how they just don't feel safe streaming at all, just because of, you know, like the nature of like these hate raids and what they're doing right now. And it's just such a sad sight to see because of just how wonderful some of like my friends are, and the fact that like they can't even engage in like this hobby, this community, this niche that they found because, like I said, it's not safe to them. Hope you get active again, you chill, and I feel like the friends I made here in Mulmaker will probably help me through college. And hey, what? At least for me, I've done what I can. I've done what I can do, right? Because at the very least, I want to be able to be here to be a chilling element for anybody who comes by. I am nowhere near the same level of energy as some of my friends. And quite frankly, like, yeah, that high impulse ass energy and whatever, that's gonna bring in the views a lot more than my chiller stuff. But does that mean that I'm envious of them? I mean, yeah, to an extent, but it doesn't mean that I hate my friends or so. It's just like, hey, look, even if I am smaller or so, I still fulfill a role in being able to support the friends that I do meet, that I do make here, and everything in between. Like you, for instance, Pyro, or Lad when he was still around today before he left for work. You guys are going through like your own stuff, especially so, and at the very least, for me, I'm just happy that like I have you guys who are very respectful viewers of mine, no matter like wherever you may have come from, or like whatever situation it may be. You guys respect my wishes, you guys are in it for the long run with me, and that's all that I, as a streamer, can ask. Because even with like, okay, I'm going to pivot into another topic just real quick here. Even with how things have been for like Lad and such, at the very least, it's not, no, at the very least, he's trying to keep himself as best as he can together. And it's not just trauma dumping. This is something that I feel like needs to be said. And I know so many people already say it. I see Taro say it the most online, but, and especially so for, yeah, for like what she regards herself with, and I uphold her position on it. But us streamers, we are not your therapists. We are content creators. And although you may enjoy us and might want to hear that, like, hey, like, you're doing your best, you're amazing, from like your favorite like content creator or so, you have to remember that, like, what's our job title? We are content creators, first and foremost. I'm saying this because, especially so when it comes to, hate grades are one whole thing, but trauma dumping in chat is another thing. I don't feel comfortable if, like, you say, it's like, hey, how's it going? I respond with, it's great, and then how about you? And then it's just like, oh, I don't know, my mom died yesterday, and then my dad also is going through stage 5 radiation cancer or something. Okay, that's maybe a lot more insensitive than I meant it to, but hopefully, like, you get the point, especially so, but it's very uncomfortable for us to be a part of that element when it comes to, because not only are we listening to it against our will necessarily so, but it is uninvited, and quite frankly, we are not the people to be able to do this stuff here. And look, Pyro, you're fine. I was meaning to talk about this as part of my second topic, and I know that it's there, but like, here's the thing, I at least know you well enough, but like, we just kept it then and there with like your topic, you know? I'm not saying that it's a wrong thing to talk about like what you've been going through, but especially so, that's all that I can and should, keyword should, do. Talk about it. I am not going to be the one that can prescribe to you what's the best course of action for you going onwards, and try to give you advice, but it is non-professional, solicited advice that you still have to remember. Because although I may be able to talk my head off and at least start to fling or so, she says that she considers it a really good skill of me to be able to keep segueing my topics without actually babbling or, lacking in my integrity of my statements. When I say that, I mean just like saying things just to be saying things. I'm actually trying to put my thoughts into words and saying them in a cohesive manner, especially so. But when it comes to, that trauma dumping, especially so, it's a very much so different vibe, because we are here to, like, for most of us especially, like, we play video games or we make ASMR or chat with stream. And it is a entirely different basket of worms of us here when you put us on the spot like that. Streamers, I mean. Because, once again, we are not professionals in any way or sort, and you're giving us questions that, quite frankly, we don't and shouldn't have the answers to. That's best saved for the medical professionals who put their school life into and such, Yeah, there's a difference between being there as a friend and as a therapist. Exactly so, Pyro, right on the head. Let me finish the last of my snow cone real quick. I've been taking bites out of it, but it's helping me keep hydrated. I still have my whole bottle of water as well. Let's go. Also, screw this. I'm just gonna use the wood cleaner because I'm hating these things here. But yeah, if you want to get better at like a video game or so, you're not only just gonna play with your friends. Like, let's say if you want to play at like a competitive level or so, you're not only gonna play with your friend. You're going to seek out like a professional for some VOD reviews, for some coaching, or anything of that sort or so, yeah? If you are going through tough mental problems, yeah, you can come to your friend for just like some listening advice or some help, in that sense of just like having a good ear to lean on. But that is also much better suited and left for, what is it, class aid with me? A professional. Because especially when you get down to that nitty gritty of things, they're the ones who have trained up more, who understand like the psyche more, like what might be causing your decisions. And especially so, they are the ones that you should be looking to. I'm not gonna go to my dentist and ask them, hey, how am I gonna get better at basketball? And same thing with like the streamer mindset, you don't go to them and say, hey, how can I make my life better after my parents just got divorced over? And yeah, like, I know that I'm just kind of throwing topics out there to the wind, but especially so, like, this can take a lot of forms, from just kind of like, hey, I don't want to talk about, like, I'm like, here's how badly my day went, it was awful, to, like, once again, just putting that stuff out there, like, oh, my mom died, and then my dog's not doing the best. Like, hey, I didn't ask for this, exactly. Is issues on? Helping them, prison recommending them see a therapist? Well, here's the thing, you're doing the best that you can with that situation right there, Pyro. Because you are being there as a friend, but you are also making that strong distinction of, that is your role. You are a friend. You are not a licensed, trained professional on the subject matter at hand. And yes, Lee, I get you here, but especially so, when it comes to this topic, I'm trying to be as, like, realistic as I can. And although, yeah, listening to, like, your Facebook friends on Facebook for, like, medical information or so ain't the best, but, like, when we come to this situation here that I'm talking about of trauma dumping and respecting your streamers, I'm pretty sure that if they are looking at their medical stuff, or they're looking at me, a online e-girl streamer, however you want to call me, rather than their medical stuff, that is a whole nother can of worms that they need to talk about. You know? Alright. Let's get the rest of this here. being me, but you do need to talk to a therapist sometime before you get enrolled to your trees. Yeah. Just because you think you may have a grip on something, or you may have a good support structure, that is not 100% at all. Like, here's the thing, and I'll use this as a real good example. I get called on, or I say called on, I get called out by a bunch of my online friends. So they always tell me, it's like, hey, why are you so wise, Chris? And my online friends, I mean, okay, Floyd said this all the time. It's like, how the heck are you always so, like, wise to me? Or, like, know so much more than me and are always able to help me? And you wanna know my answer to her every single time? I'm not wise, sweetie. I've just made the mistakes before you did, and I've had to learn the hard way, either by galvanization of trying to figure things out myself, or having somebody, like, professional, help me out. In either physical, mental problems, or anything else like that or so. It's a lot more when it comes, like, it shows a lot more, especially so, when it comes to, like, how people want to, like, will want to help, like, deal with this stuff here or so. Because when you're looking at it from this objective point of view, like, through this different set of lens, it's one thing to be helping somebody because, you know, you're their friend or so, and, like, you want them to succeed, of course, and such like that. But it's another thing for you to recognize, hey, being a friend is the role that I've got. That's what I've got. And that's what me, myself, and I have got to do. What the medical professional needs to do is to be the one that's, like, yeah, doing the diagnosis or so, trying to find out what's wrong and such. Yeah. Just because you're here for somebody doesn't mean that you'll solve all their problems. Exactly so, and well said, boy. You can be there for somebody. Doesn't mean that you're gonna be the end-all be-all immediately to them on just, hey, your problems, give them to me. They're fixed. It's not, and it's never gonna be as simple as that. And people need to just understand that, hopefully so, that, once again, we are not your psychiatrists, we are not your psychologists, we are not your therapists. We are not what you want us to be unless we say so, and we have, like, the degree or whatever to back it up. We are just entertainers on the internet, making our way by, day by day, playing games, doing our homework, whatever such like that or so. But, very importantly, we are not therapists. All that we are just, haha, funny debut stream go, ah! You know? I feel myself getting a little sleepy to this, even though it's my own stream. Power washing sim, darn you for being such a good game to possibly sleep too! I'm just taking myself a big yawn. Going for like an hour or so, so I might go for like an hour and a half. And then I'll call it there or so. I intend for this to be too long of a stream now. And see why this map is also so gosh darn annoying. I hate all these stairs so much. Let me just work in like another section that I actually feel like doing. But, I have to cheer him up for more problems. Not help us solve them. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, Pyro, you're doing the best that you can, yeah? And that's a lot more than people can ask for many people who just lounge around all day, doing nothing to help themselves or their friends out of their situations. Although it's bad to compare, the fact is that what are you trying to hold yourself to then? Is there like a high score you gotta beat? Which, I'm deconstructing this into a game very badly. Is there somebody that, like, may not have the time, so you want to line it up with them, sans like school or whatever, anything of that sort or so. You really might find this game therapeutic. I mean, it's just relaxing. You're cleaning. At least for me, I feel like I could go to sleep right now, but also it might be the music, and might be my full stomach after eating that snow cone as well. It's just, people need to just recognize that we are people too, and we are not the right people for the job many times over, just as many friends, family might not be the right fit for the job when it comes to doing something or so. It's just, it's frustrating to see. That's basically how this whole night's just been. Cruzy puts out a valid point that never gets followed. Frustrating to see. You know, okay, so let me segue this into my third and last topic for tonight or so. Especially when it comes to for trying to understand your friends, or like, even if you may not be a psychiatrist or so, or psychologist or anything in between, the biggest thing to understand here is that, hold on. Oh. Okay. Done stretching it up. Let's get back to this now. But, okay, what was I gonna say? Ah, well. Topic 3 time. I wanted to talk about drama a little bit. Not just the TV show genre, but like VTubing drama and such or so. I already pointed out like the girl DM situation or like the other imposter situation and such or so. But the problem that I will say is, like, I'm gonna relate this back to like where people too thing, but I've never been in any drama, like direct drama, as a key participant at all, even though I pretty much like almost all of my friends have in one way or another. Like, okay, I say that all my closest IRL friends have gone through something. It is pretty big drama filled. Not all my online ones have, but like the ones that do appear online, they are disgustingly bad. And I'll say this. One thing that I do know that happened, maybe like back last November or so, is two of my friends who did split up for nonsense drama that shouldn't exist too much. It's especially like, okay, so I'm just gonna sum this up. It's basically just like sub count or like follower count on Twitter, and how it's like, you left me for dead after you surpassed me, I remember was a thing. I was like, what? Are we getting onto this? Because, yeah, numbers are a real big thing in helping you like join your brand together or get things going. But the fact that like some people really can be petty about the numbers game when it comes to for understanding other people, it is just it's really no good to see drama being, especially so, like, I would use this great meme template. This sub has gone 0 days without a drama post, and I say sub, like subreddit, because that's where I got it from. But quite frankly, it is so darn sad to see that, like, even if I don't follow the person, it's been shared by somebody I do follow, and it's like, oh, what's going on over there? It's just like modded Minecraft or cursed something. Really badly so. And also, I'm feeling myself drift to sleep while I do this. But I'm gonna try to finish up my point here. Drama, really, looking on it from the outside looking in, really sucks. Because not only can it sweep people in, but depending on how both sides decide to take it, either in either in like, what's his face, just I guess a forgiveness, or apologies in a way or so to something that can last as long as like, what was it anymore? Like 3 days, 5 days, or whatever? Of just like how fast things go around. Like, I don't even know when the last case of drama was. All that I know is that okay, I remember it's like okay. I'm splitting over myself here. Let me slow down real quick. The last big drama that I remember ever hearing about, VTubing wise, was somebody was freaking out. Like their skin tone was blue. I don't remember what they were, but somebody made like a live 2D asset, and this person was getting real mad that they didn't get that in this picture wasn't included their own skin color, which is blue. The artist was like, okay, but I made like all of like these other elements and such, like these other ones that people can use, and surely you can still try to find a use for it or something like that or so. And the guy with the blue character just really got mad about it or so and started causing a lot of like temper tantrum, which sparked a lot of talk and debate. And at least to me, it was just kind of like, really? The fact that, okay, yeah, you can be mad at a person if, I guess, in like a very, very small retrospect, if things don't fit into like what you like. Yeah, you can have your standards, but not everybody's gonna meet them, for instance, or so. But the problem is that the fact that this got blown so out of proportion really, really hit the nail on the table, you know? Because now, instead of it just being right, simply something that can be solved in the DMs, the person took it public and made several allegations against right those what's his face about like that creator or like other things or so. I remember. I have no idea where both sides of the coin are now, but the fact is that like really, like, this is just straight up absurd, is what it is. The fact that this is happening on a scale like this or so. And I'm just glad that I'm away from social media for like all of my days because of just how busy I am. Yeah, I'm always on the outside looking in when it comes to like the latest drama or so. But it's a lot better than being involved in it directly. And all I can say is just like, in keeping with my current theming for today's thoughts, about like, hey, we're people too. You have to remember that, especially so, if there's ever going to be a disagreement on something online or so, it doesn't need to turn into full-fledged drama. If you can, just try to be that person that does talk out of like these situations or so, because quite frankly, it really, really is just kind of like, oh my goodness gracious, dude. Really? That's how it's supposed to be today? Okay, I think because my eyes are starting to dart a little bit, after I finish this table, I am going to cut stream off a little earlier on that note then, you know? Besides, I'm never finishing this treehouse anytime soon now. But, once again, I don't know where I want to begin with just how inane things can be. Granted, okay, a lot of miscommunication, especially when it comes to like collabs or understanding people or so, can come from just kind of like message distances or just like, yeah, actual spatial distance or so. And with it being an advent on online everything or so, no matter where you go, these people can still come by and ruin your days, quite easily so, despite them being on the very other side of the world. And it really sucks that many of the people caught up in these arguments with each other are other VTubers or so, you know, like making the argument of you're stealing time from me and everything in between. And this stuff is just frustrating. frustrating altogether. Okay. To wrap up the drama point that I did want to say, especially with how we are, alive on social media, how we are just working off of this stuff here, whether it be like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, anything in between, we have a ability to be able to talk with other people, very much so, at a different scale, and interact with people at this very much so different scale. And herein lies the fault with it of everybody may have like their hot takes or like their opinions on something or so. But when it comes to those extremes, or like when it comes to like, yeah, somebody being offended in one way or another, that really comes to that bigger fault, it can cause a lot of these drama or a lot of these unforeseen problems, much more so than people would like. And it's just really not the best, Overall, throughout anything and everything that happens, I just really want the best for everybody, I just want the best for all my friends that I follow. I just want the best for anybody I interact with on a positive note. And everything just always can come to a fault when it comes to interacting online. I know that I was kind of drifting in the last little bits of my stream here tonight, everybody. I know that this is still a shorter stream than how I'm used to, but yeah, we're just going to do what we can now, yeah? So thank you guys for joining me on my podcast by Proxy this later at night. Hope that wherever you are, wherever you may be, whether you're on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or more, you enjoy yourselves now. And Pyro, thank you for coming by as always. I've been a little sleepy, I've been very tired, thanks to school and such, but I can still even do this stream like once a week. Even if it's just only my podcast by Proxy, I'm more than happy to be here for everybody. Let's just give the love over, and we'll talk again soon, yeah? Alright, it's been your wonderful Windmaids. Your cruise ship captain, Chartreuse Proxy, ever at your service, and let's go and give the love out to Panda now. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, and night.
Unlocks the next entry for Finger of Chaos. Hey! Welcome on in. Hello. Welcome on in, Raiders. Hello. Hi. Let's go to the chatting screen for a second. Hello. How are you all? Welcome on in. Welcome. Hi. Welcome, Raiders. How was your stream? I hope it was wonderful. I hope it was amazing. Sleepy now, but happy to see you again. Yeah, I'm the same way. I am feeling very tired. I had a really not great past couple days of sleep because I was stressed out and trying to get everything ready for the debut. And then I had a ton of stuff just not work. Like my Dono link didn't work, my chat box didn't work, it still doesn't work on OBS. Like, still really enjoy getting to see you 2D now. I love it. I'm still kind of getting used to like the ins and outs of like moving because I can dance. And a dope chatting screen, yeah. Oh, Ari, you missed it when I was doing my emotes earlier. You missed it, girl. You wanted to see the full model, girl. And then you weren't even here. Damn. I'm just kidding. I don't have full body. I No, 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 you're good. I'm just giving you shit. And it does not. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to get feet. Ah! My feet are in the void. The tummy though, right? Hold on. That's a good tummy and thighs. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And then I can be all embarrassed about it, like, please look respectfully. Don't stare too much. That's a good tummy. Thighs, yeah. Oh, bah. So much to draw stick feet on. I actually when I'm able to afford the bottom half and my mama opens up commissions again, I already know exactly what I'm gonna do for the feet. Oh, the jacket's still off. Yeah. Then I can get really close and zoom in. Oh, that's not what I meant. Fuck. Kind of smell like a baka. You can even get mad at you if you want. Whatever. I don't even care.
For real?
For real? Yes. Duh, I don't even care. Then I got like the lesser blush.
Chicken attack.